You can't make people innovative. People are born innovative. The environment, be it the society or education or the physical environment, allows you to have your innovation on or your innovation off. Unless there is a desire and a demand to achieve something, I think there is no reason for it.
I don't think people are born either innovative or uninnovative. Right? It is, you get exposed to ideas. To me, when I look at it from an India perspective, how do we build this conversation about different disciplines coming together? How do we build a farming system of taking people from very young age, right, and giving them innovative ways of moving forward?
I ask a person when we talk innovation, have you made yourself money by a way others haven't? And did that innovative method either made others make more benefit? If you are not, then you are not innovative. So either you have made money, or others have benefited by a method that you brought which was not there before.
Where does the idea come from? It doesn't come from the knowledge of the grammar and the execution. It comes from somewhere else. It comes from passion. Therefore, the essence of innovation is being in the condition of creative tension, where the challenge you have with passion, because you care about it.
Somewhere I feel that we're equating innovation to design, and I'm not quite in agreement with that. Because for me, innovation means newness and novelty, and design does not mean that. It means meaning, value, and making sense. So if it is old and if it is durable, it is still valid. For me, design is not about searching around and discovering an answer which is lying on the ground. It is about imagining and creating these imaginative alternatives which do not exist today, and then proving that they can indeed solve some of those difficult and impossible problems that are confronting us.
If you're a public institution, I mentioned public civil or a ministry, and you need to create a new design, a new policy, to get support for it, you need to carry along many more people who think very differently. But the other aspect of implementation is institutions must be designed for purpose also. We've got to be much more sophisticated about designs of public institutions also.
I think we need to really understand that from idea to implementation in the field, which is what we call innovation, when it is realized in the marketplace, there's a huge process. There are many steps involved. Another way is how do you capture these ideas and make them durable.
We are becoming more and more tightly gated intellectual communities, intellectually gated communities, in which we pay attention to certain types of people and certain expressions of the subject. That's our community. And because there's so much in it, we are just stuck in it. How are we going to make sense of and admit that, yes, I do have a view and an ideology, shaped by my experience, and I accept that you will have another one, because you were shaped by your experience, right? But I want to listen to you and you to me. Otherwise, I'm afraid that what is happening, we're just listening to ourselves.
Fundamentally, if we take the notion of design, and design is conversation and argumentation, a propositional argumentation, then even national policy can be laid out as a systematic propositional argumentation between different parties.
What is a design? What are designs of conversations that will enable trust to be built rather than to be destroyed? I would say the conversations that we are having in this country, for example, certainly at the extreme is our TV conversations. They're not creating any trust between certainly the participants there. In fact, deteriorating the trust. And so if you set them up as saying, be sharp in 3 minutes and say your point of view when someone has debate and say your point of view, are we building trust in that sort of conversation? But that is the sort of conversation we usually set up. The things we need to reconcile about no one winning or losing. It's about a deeper understanding and something different and new innovation to come out of it. So I'm requesting, to help us as a society, to help us as the government, can focus, even now if people care to, teasing out some ideas about designing a good conversation.
What we're saying is that there is a need to really look at how different kinds of conversations can happen and how those conversations can also get connected to each other. So, we must look at conversation as a three-dimensional concept versus a two-dimensional concept that we've been looking at. It is never a down-up or a top-down. It is three-dimensional. And if we change that basic perspective about conversations, we will be automatically participative, automatically open, and automatically collaborative, because that's what three-dimensionality brings about.
I would like to see this more also in international context. There's an international network. You mentioned MindLab this morning. There are also other innovation labs and future centers and spaces where government and civil society work together on prototyping new solutions to all kinds of societal problems. I think sometimes India should also have a look at more outward-looking focus and see what are other countries actually doing in public innovation. And maybe we could have a design public and inviting all these other organizations, a global network of future centers, innovation labs, and see what are our similar ideas? How can we actually learn from each other?
So there's a contrast between what is expected of a government system and what is expected of a private system. There is, and they have to collaborate. But they're coming with different mental models, and there's a difficult conversation between them also, so you can see so. So I come down to finally, that could we be, this may be to the very concrete thing, the agenda for the next campaign.